firefighter. He will teach us how to build a campfire and how to put one out.
All right, so we're going to be going over building a campfire, and right now we'll just kind of start with like our safety precautions right off the bat. So right here we have our shovel, and then we have a bucket of water. So before you start any fire, you want to make sure that you have a way of putting it out. You don't want to start it just because you don't want to be thinking about any safety measures when anything can happen. So we have our lighter, which is our ignition source. So to start any type of fire, you're going to need fuel, you're going to need oxygen, and you're going to need a heat source. So our ignition source is going to be the lighter, and then from there we're going to kind of we're going to build up.
Where's a good place to make a fire?
So a good place to make a fire. So we'll just start with this off the bat. Before you even start a fire, you just want to make sure you're in a safe area, right? So that's the number one thing, right? See, like right here, we have cement around us. There's no big trees around us. There's no small bushes. There's nothing that can really catch it, right? Because you don't want the fire to spread. So that's your biggest thing, is you want to make sure everything's clear. So you want to make sure the surface is clear first. So say if you're out in the woods, anything like that, you want to make sure you're either on soil, sand, anything that's just not going to be able to catch and spread fire, right? So you're going to clear that out, and then you can make your fire ring. So right now we're on the woods. Well, obviously this is going to be our fire pit. But if you're on the woods, you're going to make a fire ring, and it's going to basically contain it. So that's the biggest thing. Just make sure that there's nothing that it can spread to, okay?
How much firewood should you have in a fire?
So that kind of depends on, well, you don't really want it to be too big, right? Because the more volume you put in, how much firewood you put in, is going to be how big the fire is. You don't want it to get out of control. You want it to be just small enough where you can control it. Because the bigger you go, anything can happen. You want to keep it small and contained, just enough where you can keep yourself warm, or if you're trying to make some food over the top of it, you just want it to be nice and small where you're able to control it. So with building any type of fire, you want to start small. You're going to start with some paper, some brush, and then you can kind of move your way up. Because you don't want to start too big, because it's not going to get going if you're going to start with large lumber. So start small. You can go pine cones, then you're going to go up to some twigs, and then you're going to start to go to the large lumber like that. So right here, this is going to be like our fire ring. This is our fire pit. So if you're ever going to do a fire, you want to make sure that you set up a border. And you want to make sure you have clear grounds. You want to look all around you. You want to make sure that you don't have trees overhead. You don't want to be too close to anything, because you can see we're kind of away from everything. We got cement underneath us. Nothing can catch it, right? And this is going to contain our fire. So we're out at a campground. They have designated like campfire areas. Or if they don't have that, you're going to build a border with rocks. You want to make sure that you can contain the fire, okay? And then you got your safety. You got water, you have your shovel, just in case if it can get out of control. Or if you ever want to put it out, you're ready to go to prevent it from spreading.
So we start with the tinder, which goes at the bottom around the paper that we use. And then we put one pine cone in the fire near the paper. And then we make an A-frame with the kindling. Then once the fire's going, then we add the timber.
There you go. We'll get a little bit more, okay? Okay, let me get one more. Want to get one more for me? There you go. Just like that. This is called an A-frame. So we basically, like we were talking a little bit earlier, for any fire, you need a little bit of fuel, you need oxygen, you need heat. So if you have too much of of one thing or the other, it's not going to work. If you have too little of one or the other, it's not going to work. So it's got to be perfect amount. So with an A-frame, you're basically making enough where enough oxygen is going to get through, and it's going to be able to catch the fire from like the small paper and twigs and the brush. All right, so before we start the fire, there's a couple things we need to go over, right? You want to make sure that there's a parent around. You don't want to be doing this by yourself. You want to make sure that you have some sort of adult around. Make sure that it is there to make sure everything goes correctly, okay? And then now we're set up. We have a hose right there. We have a bucket of water. We also have a shovel, okay? What's the shovel for? You know what the shovel's for?
For putting the dirt on the fire
Right.
to put it out.
Yeah. So say if you don't have water, if you're out in the woods, anything like that, you can use a shovel to smother, right? Because that takes the oxygen away.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start it up, right? So usually I'm going to start with the paper, right? Or start with right here with the little brush. Because then that's going to end up catching up onto like the A-frame, like the small sticks, right? All right.
It's starting up.
Starting up. So now it's catching the little bit of the brush.
Oh, it's like catching paper. Ew, catch the paper.
I wouldn't add that one on.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So when I was on vacation, we made a campfire outside, and there was smoke pushing at us.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you prevent that from happening?
So the biggest thing you want to do is just know where the wind's going. See how it wants to go this way? It's pushing it away from our faces. So you just want to keep moving around, try to figure out exactly where the wind's going. Okay? See how the wind's going away from you? Now you're going to toss it right in that corner, right? You don't want to put your hand in too close, right?
Can you show us how to safely put out?
Absolutely.
Put it out?
Okay, so there's a couple different ways we can do that, right? So we can either take the heat out of it, which we can use water. So we can put water over the top of it. Or we can take away the oxygen from it, which we can use the shovel to use some dirt, put over the top, which is going to smother it and take the oxygen away. There you go, right over the top. There you go, perfect. That's perfect. Well, see how I kind of put it mostly out? We're not going to go all the way out so we can do all of them, right? You guys want to do it at the same time?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to try to put it out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job. So you're going to see where it goes? You got to make sure it's completely out. And you want to make sure when you walk away, everything is back to normal, okay? All right, so let's try to put it out, okay?
How do you know when it's fully out?
Okay. To know when it's fully out, you want to make sure it's completely stopped smoking, okay? And then like we're going to do right now, you see how you kind of just put it at the top, you put a little bit of dirt on the top, you want to use a shovel, kind of turn it over and make sure you get all parts of it. Flip it all around, make sure you completely drench it. Squirt it. You got it? There you go, just like that. You want to make sure all parts of it, you're getting it. See how you're turning it? See the pine cone right there?
My pine cone, Aurelia, right here. Look,
See? Good job.
pine cone. Pine
See?
cone.
You can do my job. You got it.
Do we ever burn our trash?
You're not going to want to burn your trash. The only thing is, you want whatever you're putting in the fire, you want to make sure it's completely consumed by the fire. You don't want to leave any traces that, because once you leave, you're leaving that in the environment, in the forest, everything like that. You want to make sure that you leave it exactly how you came in there, right? All right?